All right, today we're diving deep into a pretty startling intelligence briefing. It claims to expose this vast, hidden network of secret facilities. We're going to explore the absolutely shocking activities that are allegedly taking place right under our noses, and the hidden power structure that, according to this source, is operating completely in the shadows.
So, let's just start with a number pulled straight from the source material, 151.
Yep, that's how many covert sites are supposedly in this secret network. And what's really wild is that the briefing claims a lot of these aren't in some remote desert somewhere. No, they're supposedly hidden in urban areas, sometimes literally right underneath major office buildings.
You see, the whole thing hinges on a map, a document that supposedly charts this entire secret geography. So for the next few minutes, we're going to walk through the extraordinary claims laid out in that briefing.
So this map, it's really the key to everything here. It's basically the foundation of this whole story, suggesting there's a secret world operating parallel to our own, with its own infrastructure, its own geography, and it spans the entire globe.
And when you look at the details, the scale of this thing is just mind-boggling. We're not just talking about sites in the US. The information points to locations in South Korea and Australia, like Pine Gap. And it suggests that some are these huge, major operational hubs, while others, well, they're just places where a craft went down and they had to build a facility around it, right there on the spot.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. The source breaks these sites down into two types. You've got your prime sites, the big ones, the ones we've all heard of, like Area 51. These are the nerve centers. But then you have these incidental sites, like Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where a craft was supposedly just too big to move. So what did they do? They built a deep underground base right there to study it. It suggests this whole network is incredibly reactive and adaptive.
Okay, so if this massive network of secret bases is real, the billion-dollar question is who's running it? Who's in charge? Well, the briefing claims the answer isn't the US government, at least not in the way you'd think.
And this quote from the source material, it really nails the central claim. It says, the real power, the true center of gravity for this whole operation isn't with the government. It's with a handful of private defense and technology contractors.
And they don't just make vague claims. The briefing actually names names, giving specific roles to each corporation. You've got Bechtel building the bases, and then Lockheed reverse engineering alien tech to build what they call ARVs, or alien reproduction vehicles. The source talks about this revolving door, where government officials and corporate execs just swap places, creating these blended entities. And their loyalty, it's not to the public, it's to the secret project itself. It's a system with basically zero oversight.
All right, so we've talked about where these places are and who might be running them. But now let's talk about what is supposedly going on inside. And just a heads up, this is where things get really, really strange.
I mean, listen to this. This is a quote from an alleged Army intelligence witness at Camp Perry, Virginia. It's just so specific, so weird. It's used to paint this picture of projects that are dealing with non-human life in a way that is just completely beyond anything we can comprehend.
But the real focus of all this, the place that keeps coming up, is the notorious Dulce complex in New Mexico. The claim is that this place is a hub for biological manufacturing, creating what the source calls programmed life forms, which are basically man-made biological creatures. And get this, it's supposedly connected to Los Alamos by a high-speed underground shuttle, so personnel can just zip back and forth in secret.
So you've probably heard about cattle mutilations, right? Well, according to this briefing, this is the real story behind them. It's not aliens. It's a human operation, harvesting biological material to use as a, quote, growth substrate. Then this material is supposedly combined with recovered ET genetics to literally grow biological entities that look extraterrestrial but are actually controlled by humans.
You'd think it couldn't get any weirder than manufacturing fake aliens, right? Wrong. The claims in this briefing go to a whole other level, something that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, the weaponization of human consciousness itself. And the implications, they're terrifying.
Think about it for a second. If these ET craft are so incredibly advanced, how in the world are we supposedly capturing them in the first place? Well, the answer this briefing gives is one of its most shocking allegations, and it points to a covert human trafficking operation.
The source gives it a name, the P3 program, and the idea is, frankly, mind-bending. The goal is to find people with natural psychic abilities and train them to become, well, there's no other way to put it, cosmic hijackers. Their mission, allegedly, is to telepathically hack the guidance systems of ET vehicles and force them to crash.
And here's the darkest part of this whole thing. Where do they get these people? The information claims they're scouted from vulnerable populations all over the world. The program supposedly targets children, women, and left-handed or bisexual men because they believe these groups have higher intuitive abilities. Then, they're subjected to intense training with electronics and drugs to crank up their psychic skills, a process the source says has a very, very high fatality rate. It's a horrifying thought, a secret program built on exploiting the most vulnerable people.
So, you've got the secret bases, the corporate control, the biological labs, the psychic hijackers. What does it all mean? Where is all of this going? Well, the briefing pieces all these elements together to present a truly startling conclusion about the state of our world.
And here's the crucial takeaway from the source. This isn't about defending ourselves. The whole point of this massive, secret infrastructure is offense. It's an active, aggressive, and completely unacknowledged war that has been waged against extraterrestrial visitors for over 70 years.
And what's the supposed result of all this secret aggression? According to the briefing, it's put Earth in a kind of cosmic quarantine. The idea is that we're seen as an unstable, dangerous civilization that just can't be allowed to expand into the wider cosmic neighborhood. In other words, we're grounded.
So where does that leave us? I mean, if any of this is even remotely true, it suggests there's a breakaway power structure out there, operating totally in the dark, making decisions that affect all of us and our place in the entire cosmos. It's a heck of a question to end on, right? In this hidden conflict, who is really calling the shots? And what does that mean for the rest of us?